Hello everyone, welcome to Max Shorter Productions here with another video, a little bit different than previous. This is going to be an overview of my Universal 100th Anniversary Collection slipcovers. I have collected every single one and got information from every single one of all the slipcovers that were released in 2012 in memory of the studio's 100th centennial year. Now please note a few things about these slipcovers. You notice these note cards on the bottom. Those are mainly when I find slipcovers online and they got the information online, I write the info down, a look inside, which I'll explain in a moment, and the Universal in whatever year that film was released. Also, you notice that there are binder holes in the slipcovers on the sides as well. That's because I put them in a binder and keep them in storage, because this is a collection that you can rarely find these slipcovers anymore. They're very, very hard to find, and I just managed to collect every single one of them through eBay, Amazon, in the past, as gifts and stuff, Christmas and so forth and so on. Ever since 2012, I've been trying to find every single one, and I finally got the last one for this a couple weeks ago on eBay for $5, and I will let you know what that final one is. Also, I do have a video that describes the Universal 100th Anniversary 25 film collection. You may not see those films in slipcovers in this collection because it was all explained in the previous video over my 25 film collection, and also the Universal Monsters and Alfred Hitchcock movies that are on the 100th anniversary list. Those look insides and explanations were mentioned in previous videos, so please take a look at those when you get a chance. And now, without any hesitation, let's get into this. So the first one we have here is Frankenstein. It was released in 1933, starring Boris Karloff. And I'm not going to go over everything word by word but I wrote, but if you just want to take a pause for a minute, look at that for a moment. Here's the timeline. And then once we flip it over, I have the focus. Got the look inside of Universal in 1931. Excuse my scratch, it is kind of hard to read, but I had to handwrite these the best I can with my ability. So, and then let's get into an actual slipcover. So the first one here we got is Scarface, released in 1932, produced by Howard Hughes and directed by Howard Hawks. So, really interesting film in their collection, I would say. Very, very detailed, and it's the original Scarface. The remake was made in 1983, which I don't have the slipcover of, but I have collected in the 25 film collection. And so inside you get the info and you get the look inside right here, and I'll focus that real quick, and it gives you some in-depth little trivia about each of the films. And also below you'll see pictures, stills from the movie, and then on the right you'll get the theatrical poster, and then up above it you'll see right here, it'll talk about the studio in whatever year, like for example Universal in 1932. And then below that as well you'll get a timeline of all the films previously released before this, and after 2 or 3 usually after. So we got here The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Phantom of the Opera, 1925 with Lon Chaney, All Quiet on the Western Front, Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, and then it goes, obviously the Scarface, the slipcover, The Mummy, The Invisible Man, and Duck Soup. Now the next one we'll be looking at is The Mummy, released in 1932, starring Boris Karloff. You notice that there's not much on the Universal Monsters except a little look inside and Universal in 1832. I kind of just written down from the movies previous to it, and just kind of just take a guess at what it may have been written in this if it were to have a slipcover. The next one we'll be looking at is The Invisible Man. Now, the next slipcover we'll be looking at is the Marx Brothers film Duck Soup. Again, I'm not going to read everything, so if you all want to just take a pause and take a look at it, be fine with me. Duck Soup is really a great comedy, I would say. Very hilarious. The next one we'll look at is a 2-in-1 film collection that is Imitation of Life, both the 1934 version starring Claude Colbert and the 1959 version starring Lana Turner. This one is a little bit different, so once I open it up, I'll show you why it's different. So, you get a brief synopsis of both of the films, a 2-for-1 synopsis on both films. On the left, you'll get the theatrical poster for the 1934 movie, as well as stills from that film, timeline of during that decade, and then over here on the right, you get Universal in 1934, the first bullet, and then Universal in 1959, the second bullet, and then the look inside for the 1934 version, and then the 1959 version, and then below you got the 1959 theatrical poster, 2 stills, and the timeline of that film as well. So this one was the odd one out of all the slipcovers, I must say. Then you got Bride of Frankenstein. I know it's small writing, but bear with me. And there's nothing, because there wasn't much to find for that one. The next one here we got is My Man Godfrey. The next slipcover we have here is Three Smart Girls starring Deanne Durbin. Quick fact, these actresses helped get Universal out of bankruptcy in the late 30s, especially this film. Next one is Destry Rides Again. Jimmy Stewart, his first Western. My Little Chickadee, which does not have a slipcover. I just got that from the Cinema Classics DVD. The Wolfman. Again, there was no slipcover. Next one we have here, a slipcover, is Sullivan's Travels. Bear with me, it's hard to do this with one hand. Might add too, at the bottom left of each slipcover, it also shows the year of the film that was released in like a bluish starry background, which is pretty cool. Another one that did not have a slipcover, but is mentioned on the timeline, Road to Morocco. (1943's version of Phantom of the Opera with Claude Rains. A classic, Double Indemnity. That's a good movie. Oh, by the way, that crack was not by me. It just came that way when I ordered it off at eBay. So, but it's not a big, huge issue. I'm not too worried about it. Look insides are very interesting. You never know. You learn some interesting facts about, you know, actors, directors, even some like composers. So it's a nice little trivial informational thing. Going my way. Got them together. Also does not have a slipcover. Lost Weekend. Yep, see? Most of these are blanks because there's no slipcover or information to write down about some of the ones, and it's very difficult. And one of my favorite horror comedies, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. That's a funny scene with the Wolfman trying to get him. The next decade we'll get into is the 50s. So first off here we got Francis the Talking Mule. Also interesting trivia, the same guy that did Francis the Talking Mule also did the same talking and movement for the horse in the famous Mr. Ed. Now, FYI, 1950s were kind of a good time, good heyday for the studio. The reason it says Amazon is because where I got my info was from Amazon, so yeah, but Winchester 73, a good film. Here we got Harvey. Most of the time the bonus features are from previous DVD releases, so because they usually just put the previous DVD releases in the slipcover, That's what they normally do. Now, I think in 2012 they did make some like Blu-rays specifically and DVDs specifically for these slipcovers. Like I know they did a few on the Jurassic Park series when they were doing individual DVDs and Blu-rays. They made a 2012 releases specifically for those slipcovers, as well as other films like I believe Jesus Christ Superstar, Last Temptation of Christ, and a handful of others that are in the series. So yeah, the slipcovers were a limited release, and then in 2012, after the year was over, they stopped making the slipcovers. So it was kind of like you had to get your hands on these very quickly. I tried to get as many as I could, but obviously I was a little too late. But so far I've found all the information on some slipcovers. I was able to find some on eBay, like between $5 and $7, which really wasn't a bad spend. But then there's some where I didn't have and I wanted in my collection. So some of these movies that were in these I do have in my collection, but it's very my collection is all over the place. So yeah, a lot of them are buried. A lot of them are in box sets. Like the 100th, like this one, I got the classic sci-fi collection, and Incredible Shrinking Man was in there, and I was able to find the info of the slipcover. So instead, I just, as you can see, there's tape. I taped it to the collection, so I know I got the slipcover portion of it too. Also, if you notice in the Universal and so-and-so year, you notice that they mention films that are not on these timelines or on the list, because I believe it's because that those movies they list were extremely profitable and big for the studio. So I guess when they were doing the 100th anniversary slipcovers, they were really trying to be a little picky about what films should they release in the slipcovers, what should be in the timeline, what's not necessary. So they chose one of their top I want to say 100 films in this series, if I'm not mistaken. That includes the 25 film set. So it is interesting. Well, but yeah, they don't, like this one for example, they don't have slipcovers for every single movie in the timeline, even the classic monsters for that matter. I mean, Dracula even doesn't have a should I say slipcover, even although in the collection you get it in the Blu-ray or DVD 25 film collection, it is it has similarity to a slipcover. So I just don't get why, for that reason in particular, especially the classic monsters, why they never made slipcovers for the classic monsters. Alright, so next we'll go into the 70s, because that was the 50s and 60s. 60s didn't really have a large variety, but here we got the first one of the 70s, Airport. Great disaster film. For some reason they only had one info for Universal in 1970. Don't know why so, but we'll just go with it. Next one of my good favorites I like to watch during Lent, Jesus Christ Superstar. Great soundtrack, by the way. Highly recommend listening to it. And also, obviously, seeing the movie. Yes, I know I'll bend it, but it's been bent already. Even what's nice too, they talk about some attractions at the studio, or something about the studio in Hollywood, or later in years the studio in Japan, the studio in I don't know, I think maybe Japan came later, or no, maybe 01, but they also talk about when City Walk came in. So I'm trying to get the glare out, sorry. High Plains Drifter is also a great Clint Eastwood movie. Just like The Good and Bad and the Ugly and his other classic westerns. And I forgot to show the front. Here's the front. Yeah, it got destroyed, so yeah, that's why it's kind of not together. But that's okay. It's still in one piece, technically. Or same with the next few 70s ones. Here we got Earthquake. Good disaster movie. George Kennedy, good actor. So is Charlton Heston. Next up, Car Wash. I love that image of Richard Pryor. Such a good image. So funny. The Jaws experience on the tour starts. Now we're gonna get into. Don't have. I had it on Blu-ray. It was a good movie to watch. Smokey and the Bandit. Love Jackie Gleason. Such a great guy, great actor in this movie as the sheriff. Yeah, I kind of cover that up. Here we have The Deer Hunter. See, like for example, they talk about The Wiz, and also Animal House has a subcover, but it was in my 25 film collection. The Jerk. Steve Martin's finest, I would say. Battlestar Galactica. Coal Miner's Daughter. Good Western film. Country film. Made a screw up on there because I thought I wrote something correctly, but evidently it wasn't right. The Blues Brothers, one of my top films. Probably my top 15 or so. One of my all-time funny films, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and everyone knows the quote. Hey bud, let's party. It's my interpretation. Sorry, if you just had to. Everyone remembers that scene. The pool scene. Funny. Sean Penn did an awesome job in this film. He did so great in this film. It's so iconic. Oh yeah, E.T.'s one of them that never got a slipcover either. Well, especially, it wasn't so much like a 100th anniversary slipcover, it was more a specialty cover because it was celebrating like a couple years, or I want to say 20 years or so for E.T. So, oh. Only Universal Monty Python film in the library. The Meaning of Life. And yes, I've seen his other Monty Python movies, so this one's not just the only one. Was just the only one in the library of Universal, because I think this might have been one of his last ones, I think. It's kind of an odd comedy to watch. It was weird, but that's Monty Python. Just got a few more note cards here. 16 candles. V18. Yep, I skipped a lot because Back to the Future and The Breakfast Club were previously mentioned in my film collection. So yeah, I kind of just jumped really quick. Oh, and also Out of Africa is in the collection as well. So yeah, I kind of jumped to this one. And the next two as well, Field of Dreams and Do the Right Thing, are also in the collection. So we jump ahead to Parenthood. Alright, the next films we'll be getting into, I forgot one in this collection. Born on the 4th of July. Cannot forget about Tom Cruise. Cannot forget about one of his early films. Kind of a Tom Cruise fan. I've seen most of his movies. They're not bad. I have yet to see Mission Impossible though, so... Oh yeah, if you see what the bottom is, it's just Ron Kovic appears in the opening parade scene as a veteran who flinches when firecrackers go off. So they talk about sequels as well. Alright, the next films are going to be 90s to early 2000s. The next films that we will finish up with are the 90s and the 2000s. So here's the first one of the 90s. If you hear noise in the background, that's my dog dreaming, just so you know. But here's Schindler's List. And yes, I know, Jurassic Park came before it, but I can explain that I have the Jurassic Park trilogy, and it's also in the 100th anniversary collection, so, yeah, I do have 2 copies of Jurassic Park, I know, but yeah, the information is on in the collection, so, I did not skip out on Jurassic Park, so... All y'all that are freaking out, I did not miss out on Jurassic Park. Trust me. I would have known. Early on. Very strong and powerful film, I must say. Schindler's List is very strong and powerful. Waterworld's a good movie too. Also great attraction as well. I've been to Universal Studios Hollywood. Forgot. One of my favorite Eddie Murphy films, along with Shrek. We can't get about him and Shrek. Night Professor 2 was very, very funny as well. Not gonna lie, this one was funny. Number 2 is just a little bit funnier because it focused more on the family. That talks about right there, the sequel. Jurassic Park the Ride. And now this one is a very, very rare slipcover to find. Yeah, this one I had a long time. I think for 5 years I finally could not find it, but I found it on eBay and bought it for $5. And this was actually, yep, this is my last one that to complete the collection. You could. This is a rare finding. I must say, this video. This is probably the only video where you'll see this slipcover, because it is not. You won't find it anywhere else. It is one of those rare things, and I am proud to say that I got it, because no one knows what the inside of this looks like. Hardly anyone, unless they own another copy of it somewhere. This was released in Memorial '97. Quick fact, I was born later in a couple months. See, like, some of that info, it was hard to even look up. See, in the Jurassic Park one, you get just the female Rex. And here you got the family. So, yeah, very rare slipcover right here. Just saying. It is hard to find. So, I'm one of the rare people that has it. Ain't gonna get rid of it. Funny movie, The Big Lebowski. The next one up, the remake of The Mummy. I like this one. The sequels are good as well. Very, very famous attraction in the Universal Archives. And then we got American Pie. Let's say, was a crazy film to watch, as well as all these sequels. Wasn't my favorite, nor do I want to watch it again. So now we're getting into the 2000s. So we got the first one up, Aaron Brockovich. Quick note about the next one, Gladiator, there's no slipcover in the United States, as far as I know. A US slipcover of Gladiator, but I guess in the UK they have a digibook, so I think that's the only closest thing they have. So that was really interesting. Like, Gladiator is one of those that I guess because it was internationally released, that's why they put it on there, but regionally it was Paramount. So yeah, that's interesting fact about Gladiator. Domestically it was Paramount in the United States. Outside and international, it was a universal distribution. So yeah, quick interesting little fact about that. And we got Billy Elliot. Also, another fact about the next one, which is Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas and Bridget Jones's Diary. There's no slipcovers for either of those. Yeah, the Grinch, no slipcover, no info, no nothing. The same with Bridget Jones's Diary. So that's another thing. Those two are still on the timeline, but not in the slipcover. This is another rare one too. Jurassic Park 3. You can't find the slip. You can find the slipcover on a video on YouTube, but yeah, it was very rare to find up until that video was posted on YouTube. I forgot who posted it, but yeah, some guy did a review on Jurassic Park 3, and it was with the slipcover. So I managed to get the information from the inside of the slipcover onto here. And also on the side, it also has the Spinosaurus. So next one we have A Beautiful Mind. It came like that, it came ripped like that, but again, it's not that big of a deal to me, folks. I know people probably freaking out like, oh, but in reality, it's just, I mean, these are just pieces of cardboard, and as long as the image was there, I did not mind. So yeah, and it was a cheap buy, so it came like that. I really just wanted this, make sure the interior was fine, and it was. Notice a big gap between the Fast and the Furious and this one. September 11th, 2000. So this one came a little bit after, September 11th. Also, Fast and Furious and Bourne Identity are in the 25 film collection. Again, in my previous video. Here we got 8 Mile, a good movie about Eminem. I like some of his songs, especially the song on here. You gotta watch it for yourself and know what song it'll be. But yeah, that was a more added detail because I wrote down the wrong stuff from what I thought. So, but yeah, 8 Mile. You'll recognize the song once the movie's playing. With the main song of the movie, you'll know. Here we got Seabiscuit. Up next, we got, haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I will eventually, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. The second Bourne movie, Bourne Supremacy. Kind of like a James Bond type movie. I mean, that's how I can describe it. Like I said, I do have some of these movies with the note cards, so like I do have Ray, classic movie. €40 version. Couple hours I'll never get back. Crazy, crazy film. And we got Brokeback Mountain. And then we got one of my favorites from when I was a kid, King Kong, with the theatrical and extended version. Now, I have the extended, like, 3-disc Blu-ray extenders edition. I'm gonna say, it's awesome. All those special features, all that bonus stuff. I love it so much. I mean, there's so much to learn about this film. Peter Jackson really outdone himself. Also some memorable moments from the original 33 film, which is going to be in the open domain soon. So, yeah. United 93. The next film is United 93. The first film about the September 11th attacks 5 years after the events. So, yeah, this is the first one. And let me tell you, obviously we know information about what happened on the plane, but this one kind of dabs it right there and solely is very, I would say, very, very accurate about what happened on the plane from the commission report, from recordings, and so forth and so on. So, yeah, strong film. And the third Bourne film, Bourne Ultimatum. Again, I like the inside, like the starry background, the blue starry background. Then we got a tournament. One of my favorites, and I like to sometimes say it, Inglourious Bastards, Quentin Tarantino. Oh yeah, there's an interesting fact if y'all didn't know that Samuel L. Jackson was the narrator. And then we finally get to the last one, and that's Bridesmaids. So that is all my slipcovers of the Universal 100th collection. Man, that looks sloppy, but I don't care. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your what favorite film out of these is your favorite too. And just let me know, what you think about this video and about my collection. So I don't know how long, but I might keep these for a while because they're so rare and hard to find. And this is probably the first video, from what I understand, that shows all the Universal 100 slipcovers all together, even some that you can hardly ever find. So again, I give this a watch, and it's just an informative, good video. Like I said, it took me 5 years to finally find all these slipcovers. So without further ado, please subscribe to my channel, like, comment, tell me what you think, subscribe, and this is Max Schroeder Productions.